welcome back to Education Closet. My name is Susan Riley and I'll be your host today. Today we're going to be looking at ePortfolio ideas. So I have a question. I have a box. This is a very pretty box my husband gave me at Christmas this year. But my question to you is, what is in this box? What could possibly fit in here? Anybody have a guess? Shoes? Maybe some CDs? Might be a little bit big for CDs. Books? An iPad. What do we think was in here? The truth is that this box is very much like an ePortfolio. It could contain a multitude of things, and it's really only limited by the imagination of the person that's filling it. In this particular box, there was a pair of shoes that I had wanted for Christmas, so my husband was very kind to me this year, but really it could have been anything. And when I looked at the box under the tree, my imagination went wild. What could be in there? What did I think that my husband was going to get me? Did he really listen to what my needs were and what I wanted from my Christmas list? Or did he just kind of put random things in there that I wasn't going to use? And ePortfolios are exactly the same. So when we talk about that, I wanted to give you some quick tips on ways that you could effectively use an ePortfolio for both your students or yourself. The easiest way to do an ePortfolio is, of course, through a blog or a website. And there are a couple of different platforms that you could use. You could use Blogger, which is now owned by Google, but with that in mind, Blogger, I have also known from a lot of different people that their sites have just suddenly disappeared. And that's a lot of work to just disappear. And for me, I need something a little bit more stable than that. So a better option for me would be WordPress.com, which is the standard blogging platform for a lot of people that I know. But if your school doesn't use WordPress, which some schools don't, then there is a education-friendly version of WordPress called EduBlogs, and I highly recommend that because it is geared for education. And students can create an account, and they're private. You do not have to be able to search for them on Google, so students can make them private. It's just a click of a button. They make them private, and then only you could see them, or only they could share that password with you or their parents. Just very private, so that there's some safety issues that you can address that way. But if you're going to use a blog like that, it's great for a lot of different things in an ePortfolio. For instance, students could create their own library based on a theme for the year. So you might, or even just for a unit. So if you want to go small for a unit, you might pick a particular subject that you're looking at, I don't know, social studies, and you might want to look at the Constitution when you're focusing on U.S. history and the Constitution. And then students can use that theme, and then whatever you do throughout that unit, they can pick one or two things from each activity that you did and include that in their portfolio, so that you can see a variety of products. Personally, I like ePortfolios for a longer period of time, for instance, a whole year, because it really allows you to see student growth. You can see what they were doing at the beginning of the year and how that improved by the end from May to June, so that you get a really good, rich variety of things in there. And if you pick a theme, so for instance, maybe your theme, if you're doing all year, is how did I improve this year? Or if students want to choose, I want to be this kind of an artist this year, excuse me, then if they choose to be that artist, then they can include elements that would make that artist great through the year. How do they go from a novice to a master artist by the end of the year in that portfolio? And what's really great about choosing a theme is that they can choose different ways to express themselves. So they might have 2 or 3 pieces of persuasive writing in there, a piece of informational writing, some music that they composed that utilized some skills. Maybe you were working on fractions and they had to use a certain amount of half notes and quarter notes and whatever. You can use the music to go into that theme. You could develop a piece of artwork that they put into their math journal that they sketched out. That can go in there. There are a lot of different things that you could include then. And then you have a broad scope of library of information from that student, and it really gives you an idea of how they grew through the year. That's great for an impact on student achievement because they can see themselves improving, and then they can talk about, okay, this is what I was doing at the beginning of the year, this is what I'm doing now, this is how they changed, this is when I had this turning point. It really allows for some great self-reflections on students. The other thing that you might include in a blog is that students could then select, it could be a self-selected piece in their ePortfolio. So lots of times teachers ask me, well, how do I have time to compile portfolios for every student? Well, you don't. So give it to the students to do. They have access to it either at home or at a computer lab, set up 30 minutes a week to work on their ePortfolios and decide what they're going to put in there. And maybe it's 30 minutes a month or an hour a quarter, something like that. And then they choose one or two pieces from their work from that quarter to include in their portfolio, so that at the end of the year they have 8 pieces total in there that really shows a broad spectrum of their work, so that you're actually giving the students more responsibility of their own learning, and it gives them more ownership of what they've done and how they've improved, and it makes them so proud of their work. Rather than you selecting things to show to their parents, suddenly they get to select their work. Their work takes a little bit more pride, to put in there, and it really improves on a different level. The other thing that's really interesting to do is to let your students do an e-zine, which is an online magazine. There are 2 different platforms for that. One is issuu, issuu.com. Some school districts, though, don't allow that site, so the other site is yudu, yudu.com, which most schools do allow. And both of those allow for virtual flipping of the pages, so it looks like a real magazine, but it's virtual, so kids love it. They click on the page and it flips over. It's interactive. You can zoom in and out on the magazines, so you can include text, you can include pictures that they've scanned in, or maybe they took with a digital camera that they put in there. And then to highlight the information that they're putting in. So if you were looking at a writing journal or even a math journal to put in together, this is a great way to show student improvement throughout the year, or even throughout a unit, by creating an online magazine piece. Maybe you're just looking for a persuasive writing piece for Common Core writing. This is a great way to do that, but it also shows a continual timeline of growth, which is amazing. And then, and it's so easy to assess then, because all you're looking for is the improvement from point A to point B. Another way that you could share this information, most people have access to the internet somewhere so that they could be able to access these files, but if they don't, another nice thing to do, the little memory sticks that you can get are so cheap now when you buy them in bulk. I know that several schools just buy them 20, 30 at a time, and it's so super cheap when you buy them in bulk. You can buy those, zip all the files together, and then just download it onto that little stick, and then at the end of the year, students can take the stick home. That's their information that they can share with their parents at any time. The other thing you might want to think about is creating a class portfolio or a grade portfolio where you can highlight work from your students and kind of keep track over the year of what you've done. Maybe put some reflections in yourself. I liked this, I didn't like this. And commit to it a certain amount of time, whatever works for you. Once or twice a quarter, once or twice a month, just to kind of keep yourself updated. And then when you go in for your yearly evaluation with your principal, here it is. It's all laid out right here. This is what you've done with your kids. This is their successes. These are things that you're going to work on for next year. These are, by collecting these things, you've seen this kind of data happen, and you know that you had to shift some things around. It's a great way for administrators to be able to see what you do, and for you to take some control of your own evaluation process, which we are in such desperate need of, I think, as teachers. So these are just a couple of quick tips on how to use ePortfolios in your classroom. Hope you found them helpful, and as always, you can join me on educationcloset.com for more ideas, resources, and information. Thanks.